Cat of all trades.
Hey cat crew, welcome back to my coffee lab. We are going to start a little mini series on pour over hand brewing. We're going to start with a cone. This can be a drip or it can kind of be an immersion depending how you do it. We're going to cover that later on in the series. I'm using a V60. This is the most popular of your cone brewers right now, especially among our hipster brew crowd or specialty coffee crowd, whatever you want to call them. But you got your Melita, which was the original cone. You've got your V60. You've got the Origami, which is like the new hip kit on the block. Very cool, slightly more versatile in the filters you can put in it. Talk about that later too. And then you've also got some other sort of different brewers that are popping up also in the cone shape. So we're talking cones. Yay! Cones are great. They are super versatile and also very challenging, so I thought it'd be a fun series to cover. We're going to start today with blooming. Now, if you've been in the coffee scene for a while, I'm sure you've heard people talk about blooms. If you're new to coffee brewing, you're probably like, what the heck is a bloom? It is also called pre-wetting or pre-infusion, but we like to call it a bloom because the coffee grounds kind of look like they're bubbling up and opening like a flower. So that's where the term came from. Super fun fact. So I'm gonna talk about the three sort of main reasons why we bloom coffee, because it's not actually necessary, but it can be very helpful, especially if you want to tweak your brew and really finesse it. And then I'm gonna show you the three sort of major ways to do a bloom, because you've got sort of different methods there, but also, you can finesse it, you can play with it. Try it out, do you. Make your coffee the way you like it, that makes you happy. We're all happy for you. So, blooming, what does it do? So the first reason why we bloom coffee is it allows the grinds to wet more easily. So this is reducing channeling. If you think about a mountain and water running down it, if water's always running down the same place, it's gonna form a channel in the rock. This happens in your coffee bed. So if you dumped all of your brew water over your coffee grounds all at once, basically some coffee would get wet, some coffee would stay dry, and eventually it would get wet. But because the water will be attracted faster to the wet coffee, it's just going to keep over and over and over extracting through those grinds. This is not going to make a very good brew. It might be unpalatable because of the channeling, and there's actually no way to fix it once you've started and it's got channeling going. Just not going to be a good cup of coffee. So blooming, it reduces channeling. Great, we like that. So number two, what happens when we bloom? There will always be a variety of size unless you're using very specific shakers. But your coffee grinder, it's gonna have a variety of sizes in there. So one school of thought is that tiny fine ones, the really little ones, they have no intact cells. There's no cellulose still in that grind. And the bigger ones have some cellulose. So they have intact cells. So when the water passes through the fines, through no intact cells, it strips away those coffee solids super easily. And the other ones, they take a bit more time for the water to get through the cellulose, to get to the coffee solids, to extract them into the brew, and diffuse them. So by blooming, you increase the water contact time. That was hard to say. Increase the water contact time with the intact cells, and that kind of sets them up for the rest of the brewing process. So it should even your extraction. So that's number two. The third reason why we bloom is the carbon dioxide off-gassing. So your coffee beans have roasting gases, and as they age, as they get older from the roast date, they will be releasing gases naturally. Most coffee will do this in about 10 to 14 days is kind of the standard day ratio. But when you grind it, they release more. So you should always grind before you make your coffee. And when you pour the water on, they release more. So when we bloom, we are releasing carbon dioxide, especially if you have fresh coffee. The fresher the coffee, the more carbon dioxide is still going to be present in your bloom. And the more carbon dioxide that releases, you might create what is known as turbulence in your bloom bed. And this is the carbon dioxide releasing very suddenly, and it pushes the water away from the coffee grinds. So this is in relation to kind of the first point where we want everything to be wet evenly. You want to release that carbon dioxide also because it creates sourness in your brew. So if you can trap the carbon dioxide in there with the coffee grinds, with the water, it does have a tendency to make a more sour extraction. So we don't want that. So those are your three. That's a lot of information, I know. Those are kind of your three why we bloom. So you are increasing the contact, you're reducing channeling, and you're releasing the carbon dioxide. So that's why we bloom. That was a lot. Now we're going to move on to our 3 bloom methods. So we're going to do the stir, we're going to do the shake, I guess, and we're going to do the volcano.
So yeah, we're pre-wetting the filter. This just kind of settles the paper in your brewer. It warms your brewer up a little bit. And it also can take out some of the papery taste depending on what sort of paper filters you're using. Some people don't pre-wet their filters. I always do, just how it is. I'm gonna do little guys. So with blooms, they recommend that you do between a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1 of brew water to coffee. 2-to-1 is big enough that you can actually get all your grinds wet, which is what we talked about, part of the reason we brew. 3-to-1, anything bigger than that, and you might start some of your coffee reactions earlier than you would like to for your happiest brew. So I'm doing 5 grams. I'm gonna do 15 grams of water. I've got super fresh coffee. It was actually roasted today, I think. Brewing up some Monogram Aricha that got roasted. And yeah, so the first method I'm gonna show you for bloom, method number 1, is the stir method. Got my trusty little spoon guy here. You can also use a tiny whisk if you would like. They're quite fun. So I gave my brewer a little shake. This evens out the grinds. Some people do this, some people don't. Find what works for you. Blooms are usually 30 seconds, so I am going to use the timer. And here we go. So I'm adding my water. I like to do little circles. Ooh, that is way too big. Okay, well, that's okay. I'm not actually drinking this. So you can see there's carbon dioxide coming up. I just want to give that a little stir. And you're going to experiment with that. Okay, now, so I showed you the stir method first. Now I'm going to show you the swirl method. So it is what it sounds like. I'm going to pour my water in, then I'm going to swirl it around. So here we go. Time on. I'm adding 15 grams of water to my 5 grams of coffee, and now I'm just swirling it. This is to break up any potential channeling. So the spoon breaks up potential channeling, the swirl breaks up potential channeling. Basically, we want all of the grinds as quickly and evenly wet as possible, and that's why we bloom. Okay, and finally, I'm going to show you the volcano. This is a newer bloom method to me. I've really quite enjoyed using it. It's pretty fun. So this is the last one, just dumping the rest of that coffee in. Basically, you give it a little shake to settle it. And then you're going to put your finger in and kind of wiggle it down to the bottom of the cone. So now you can see you've got this little volcano. So the carbon's going to come out. This is a method that doesn't use a stir and doesn't use a swirl. You just create a channel kind of off the bat for the water to go into, and it's going to help the water get ever it goes into. So you're going to pour the water directly into the hole. As it fills, then you start spiraling out towards the edges, and that's the volcano. So here we go.
So blooming, we covered a lot of grounds. Ha, pun intended. We covered them with water. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Not sorry at all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking it out. This was a big video today. If you have questions, comments, let me know how you bloom your coffee. I'm curious. I like learning. Just shoot me a DM, drop it in the comments, whatever you want. It'll help me create more content and help me steer this V60/cone filter series going forwards. Maybe we need another bloom video. Maybe I didn't cover enough. You guys let me know. But thank you for watching. Go forth and brew better coffee.